Pounds and Punches. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, share, let the people them know. It's Pound Sterling and the champ, IBF champion of the world, Sonny Edwards, back again. Episode 3, Pounds and Punches. Gonna be a weekly thing. Thursdays at 7. We're back again. We saying, champ? How you doing? Good week?
Yeah, man, it was a good weekend. I can't lie. I'm feeling very motivated, Pounds. I'm feeling very inspired by the weekend of boxing. I mean, I was there. I was involved in Dalton Smith's British title defense against Billy Ailington, which was a great gutsy performance from Ailington. Especially had to get through some hard times in the later stages of the fight to get to the final bell, but he did so credit to him. And also Junaid in his 5th fight, his next step, Junaid Bostan.
This was what, on the League Wood card?
On the League Wood card, yeah. I just give it a highlight because obviously that was, I was working their corners alongside with Grant and Pierce and still staging.
No, we're gonna talk that in full, so don't give away nothing yet because you was there. You're gonna give the step by step, blow by blow. But before we get to that, champ, the people are gonna want to talk about it. I know it's not. Listen, I know it's a circus, but the people are gonna want to talk. Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul, my G. That's what the people want to hear about. So talk to me. Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul, Saudi Arabia thing. What you saying? Prediction king right now. You're the prediction king. So before you get to the predictions, tell me about the fight, how you see it going, the variables, the unsaid things. Talk to me.
So is that what they're saying now, Pound?
That's what they're saying. You're the prediction back to back. Every episode you've been right still. You're right. You're on the money. You're on the money. So yeah. If people want to put down a little money, they might want to hear what the champ's got to say.
They might. But
let's see.
Do you know what it is with this one, yeah? Like, okay, I know there's certain people that come in with the lens of why talking about this, not talking about this. But we're gonna put that to the side while we're having these conversations because for me it does pose a genuinely interesting fight. I mean, we've seen Tommy Fury, we've seen him maybe not look the most, accomplished or seasoned, but in the same time, he's got some decent movement. He's got his own certain thing going on. So, but to what level have we seen it tested? Like, we don't really know as to what level we'd class Fury.
Facts.
In boxing, for me personally. But as well as that, Jake Paul probably has been training like a professional boxer, like fighting in events, etc., and whatever, for probably as long as Tommy Fury. I mean,
around the same kind of time.
He's been doing it for what, 5 years now, 6 years now. So if we have to really give Jake Paul some credit in the sense of if you live, act, train, and breathe like a professional boxer, then for that period of time, that few amount of fights that you start having, you've got to start giving some credit because you're going to pick up good skills. You're working with professionals. You're training like one. So why wouldn't someone quite athletic be able to get some understanding of boxing in that time?
He's got a camp. He's got a proper camp set up and all of that. He's not taking it light. And also, tell me this, chap. Be honest, yeah. He's had what? How many fights has Jake Paul? Say he's had 6. Say he's had 6. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Say he's had 6, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of, if there's a boxer that's up and coming and people have got him touted to be somebody, I'm saying Jake Paul's probably the level of opponent he's had might be the same or probably better than certain men have had for their first 6 opponents. Tell the truth. Because I've seen certain men punch over cab drivers, lorry drivers, doormen. Jake Paul's actually fought guys, whether they come from UFC or whatever, but they had hands. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, especially profile-wise, there's probably very few people that's ever fought like people with that amount of, I don't know,
combat experience.
Yeah, combative experience, etc. And but at the same time, it's like to what lens, how serious you take in these events. Because I don't know, some people question whether, I don't know, Ben Askren really came in with much competitive ambition. He didn't he trained very hard.
Him. He just came off knee surgery. He weren't really.
Yeah,
he either underestimated.
Even Tyron Woodley. Like, I feel like I'd be doing, the community a misservice if I didn't mention Tyron Woodley in one of the fights appeared to rock Jake Paul and then almost not throw anything. You know what I mean? So it's like...
You're going with the theories, champ. You're saying that there might be something...
Saying the theories, but at the same time, I just know, like, any trained fighter Like, I could see openly that he was hurt. So if I'm really rooting for Tyron Woodley, I'm screaming and shouting. Hold on,
my money's on him.
Why? Yeah, exactly. And my money's on him, especially. Why are you not running across the ring and just doing every bit of force? Like if you was in the UFC title fight, you might have, especially if someone hurt to that level. But I don't know. So let's put that to the side. I don't know. I feel like Jake Paul's got some skills. I think Tommy Fury's got some skills. I don't think either of them, forgive me for saying so, are of the highest level. I don't. But because of that, I think it's a relatively well matched, relatively competitive and interesting fight with a lot of ego and a lot of pride on the line. Obviously, it's in Saudi, the Divya Arena. Yeah, and I think it's like people say it's bad for box now. No, it's entertainment. For some reason, that fight will generate a lot of eyeballs on it. So, just what's the point of trying to block it or not be excited or look forward to it? I think at least have a prediction and see if you can read the script right. You know what I mean? Have a prediction and interest to see. Well, Tommy Fury should win because of this, or Jake Paul will win because of this. Like, see how well you know boxing, because this for me is one of those interesting ones where you don't actually know. Like, you really don't actually know. There's not enough to go on to really confidently know. And then there's probably a lot of things factoring that in normal instances of boxing wouldn't be considered. You know, so I mean, who's got NBA All Stars on their boxing record and MMA world champions and retired greats? Like, it's not like a typical what we normally see. So because of all of that, those things considered, you might the whole of boxing is going to be watching it. So you can.
Everyone's watching it. Who's winning in your opinion, champ? Say it with chest.
You know what it is? Because of all the things previously mentioned, I think I like working with logic, yeah. When I make predictions, I like working with clear logic, things that I know to be at least realistically possible and go from there. With this, I think there's so many variables and like what ifs and things that I might think but not know, like on the outside of the ring. So it's a hard one. I mean, Tommy Fury, he looks in very good shape and he looks like he lets his hands go well. But have we seen him really challenged? Have we seen someone really come and give it to him? Like, I'm not sure. He's looked quite comfortable in all his fights, and no one's really seemed to be a step up opponent previously. Jake Paul, I don't know. I don't fully know what to make of him. Like, he doesn't look the most skilled and aware of what he's doing and when he's doing it, but at the same time it looks like he understands like range relatively well, when to let his hands go to actually land them with like good purchase behind it. So I don't think he's like the absolute worst. I don't think he doesn't bring anything to the ring, so I think it's interesting. I don't think I could confidently sit here and predict one which way.
It's a hard pick, but when I've been speaking to people, they've been saying Jake Paul still. I'm saying it's a very hard pick because they're not that far apart. If you look at the body of work from both of them, and you look at the extras they do, like my man's done, Tommy's done Love Island and all of that reality stuff. They're both stars outside in their own right. It's not like their whole life is boxing committed, so they've got outside interests going on. Jake Paul might even be more training harder than Tommy is, bro. Because Jake Paul seems like he's always training. I think he's had this chip on his shoulder for longer. I've got to prove to people that I'm on this thing. So I think it might be a close. If I was to go out on a limb.
Well, if you had the bills to put somewhere, that's what you're saying.
If it's a bills, and I just think I might say if it's a bills, I'm gonna say close fight. I'm leaning to Jake Paul again, but no, I'm gonna say close fight. Tommy Fury by decision. Because
so you just flip.
I just flipped it because I had a vision in my head of Jake Paul. Suddenly, I had a vision. As I was saying, like I saw this vision of Jake Paul, like just flipping, hitting my man with a 3-piece and shit. Tommy Fury, listen. Tommy might get dropped still.
Do you know why I think I've got it, Pounds?
Go on.
I think I know what's gonna happen.
Talk to me.
I can see it.
Talk to me, because I'm all over the place with it right now.
And you know, if someone backed this right now and it did come through, I think it might be a draw. You know, pounds.
That's how close I think it is. So you might not be. I hadn't thought draw, but I thought in my mind it's going to be mad close. It's going to be a close.
I think it might be a draw.
Rematch money.
And then Noah loses face as well.
Could be. So you're on this thing, Carl. I've been just seeing it's close, but I didn't think to say draw because to me, when the draws, but they do happen still. So yeah,
and I feel like in this influencer, you know what I mean. Sometimes they have a close fight, draw. We can do it again.
Could be. I see it as that kind of close. I've got visions of Tommy Fury winning, but by points, and I've got visions of Jake Paul dropping him. So
dropping him. Oh, what? So you think it's either a Fury points?
No, but I don't think. I think if he drops him, he gets up. He can't stay down from Jake Paul. Not if his dad in the corner and his brothers and all of that. He's got to get the fuck up.
They're gonna get him up, yeah.
He's getting the fuck up. Yeah. He's gonna hear that voice, Big John, get the fuck up, and he's getting the fuck up.
Do you know what? Don't you think it is a bit mad that with some of the things that get said? I know they're selling the fight and whatnot, but when they say stuff like, "Well, if you can't beat Jake Paul, like you're not Fury," and shit,
yeah, that's wild.
Don't you think it's a bit hard?
It is what it is. Them man are on some masculine shit. They ain't on no.
I hear that.
No, let's pander and listen. We're gonna. It's okay. No, winning is the motive. Winning is a must. We're here to win. You can't let this joke man beat you. That's what they're telling him. Like today's the day you earn your stripes. That's what they're telling him, innit?
Yeah. This is when you do it.
Yeah, this is the acid test.
Now, innit?
Right now, your brother's done it. You understand? Like this is the day that you go out, you show and prove, innit?
What you're saying this day become a Fury? That's what you're saying, pal.
He's already a Fury, really, but this is the day that you show that you're. What does his brother always? His dad and them man say that you're a proper fighting man, as them man say.
Yeah, man.
Today's the day that you're gonna show them that you're a proper fighting man. You're gonna. I don't even think they see it as that. They think they're gonna whack him up. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do think they're very confident and they're gonna whack him up.
Confident. It's their confidence that makes me leave. It's their confidence that makes me want to say.
That's what makes me more with Fury. Do you know what I mean?
Me as well. But listen, if you ask me who I want to win.
I expect Jake Paul to be very confident. I expect him to be like he's a YouTuber, man. He'll do anything that makes sense.
Yeah. He's confident, but yeah, like I said, if you ask me who I want to win, I'll say Fury.
Who do you think has more to lose by losing the fight?
A man said that you're not a Fury if you lose, brother. Man, just like so. Not you said it. I'm saying that's what's been said. So I think Jake Paul's got nothing to lose every time he steps in, bro, because he's already kind of fucking. He's surpassed. He's
done a lot, man. If he goes 6-1, it's not really.
Yeah, like it ain't too bad. I'd say Fury's got more to lose still. I'd say Fury's got more to lose, but that's why Fury's meant to get it done, man. I'm gonna say Fury wins.
You got Fury, yeah, Tommy Fury.
Fury by decision. Yeah, Fury by decision.
Because he beat that Anthony Taylor quite easy, didn't he, Tommy?
Yeah, and not being funny, like Anderson Silva was giving man a fairly competitive match until the last round. Tyrone Woodley got snuffed, but the first one was a bit. He's improving constantly, but I'm gonna go with Fury, taller, ranger, more range. If he knows how to use it properly, and the heart should come into it. Let's see who's. Yeah, it's gonna. I think at some point it's gonna be a war of attrition. At some point, that I feel that's gonna happen as well. But we'll see. All right, we'll see. All right.
What's next pound?
And for the people that like the passer, before we get to the weekend, boxing card. We said what? Man, them can't go to a 1 Creed 3 premiere and just keep it civilized. What happened with the big dogs, Lawrence and Richard Riakpore?
I'm not sure. Firstly, I don't know where my invite was, innit? So you know what I mean.
Someone get the call up.
It must have got lost in you know what I mean in the press, the PR thing. But I mean, it's like everyone can have a little pull and a push around, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. Shout out to the 80,000 sold.
I mean, shout out to the 80,000. Who said he'd fight Jake Paul, by the way?
I saw that today.
He said if he beats Tommy Fury, he said he'll fight him.
He said he'll have a conversation.
I have a conversation, but what?
He said he'll have a conversation.
What's Carl speaking to Jake Paul about other than fighting? Let's be real.
Yeah, but he said he'll talk about fight. Don't mean he'll actually fight. Would he put it on the line? Money talks. Yeah, he would.
I reckon Carl Froch would be every bit confident that he can go through Jake Paul.
Yeah, mad confident. It's Carl Froch, bro, world champion. But did you see Chisora said
he's still very much in shape? Hey, I saw Carl the weekend. He's in very much still in shape. He's not.
He's in shape.
Yeah, man, he's still very much in shape.
He looks like actually I saw him jogging like with Eddie Hearn and them, man. He looked like he looks like
He looks like he could 2 weeks out of a world title fight or something. He don't.
Yeah, he'd knock out. Well, he's supposed to knock out Jake Paul, but you see, Chisora said he put 200 bags up, saying that Jake Paul would snuff Froch.
Surely not.
That's what he said.
He would, but then again, the old boy's probably got it to do it. So
Cougar was like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "I'm serious. I put 200 bags that Jake Paul will beat Froch if anyone wants to."
I thought the old boy was cool with all the Furies.
Froch.
Oh, Froch.
Jake Paul beat Froch.
Oh yeah. Crap, yeah. I got myself confused. Yeah, but no, surely he can't mean that. Surely not.
Yeah, but surely not. The old boy's a troll at the same time. I never know with him if he's serious or he's not.
The old boy is very good at always catching the headlines.
Very, very clever man. Shrewd man.
Whenever he wants to.
Very shrewd. All right, so what we said, Lawrence and Richard Riakpore, that was just wrong place, wrong time. Man, them bumped into each other.
No, but a lot of people are sort of thinking it's not real, but from my perspective, and obviously I know like the Okolies quite well. Well, I do know him well. Like I think it's genuine. I think Lawrence wanted to know, you said you wanted to fight me, are we fighting, sort of thing, and I don't know what was said. I don't know who said what. I don't know who started it. None of that. You know what I mean? If I did, I might not say. You know what I mean? But
so you're saying Lawrence approached him, but now then, if that's the case, what if my man's there and my man's south? We move kind of with a different energy. Like if we're just going cinema, we're trying to mind our business. Don't try to approach me like that. I'm dressed up nice. I'm going out. Don't get into my personal space talking shit.
You know what it is? You know what it is? Yeah, I think with
Lawrence,
do
that on Sky Sports, champ.
You know what it is with Lawrence? Yeah, and remember he's my guy in it. But with Lawrence, just the thought, yeah, that someone from like the same country, even probably definitely same city, can like call him out. I think in Lawrence's head, yeah, because I know him quite well. He's probably thinking, "Are you okay? Like, you want to fight me? Are you?" Lawrence probably would have answered like, "So are we? You want to fight me?" Like, I think Lawrence in his head definitely, and probably in others as well, cleared like. Like when he did the Isaac Chamberlain and why did he come back from he cleared like the London boys.
The UK, he cleared out the London boys.
The London boys and he cleared the UK boys and he went on and done his thing, like, and won a world title. And don't get me wrong, Riakpore in his own lane is running, but in Lawrence's eyes, he had life or death with Chris Billam-Smith. Someone that, probably wouldn't last that long in sparring with him. So in his eyes, he's probably thinking it's a bit of a disrespect, and that's probably why. Maybe I'm not sure, 100% sure. I'm not confirming or denying who said what first. I actually don't know to that extent.
Shit, listen, I get it from both sides of the coin. It'll be a good fight if it happens.
Two proud men. Riakpore.
That's what I was going to say. Two proud men. Lawrence has already proven himself as a world. He's a world champion, and he's already proven himself on a lot of levels. So he would feel confident. Riakpore's feeling confident in himself, in his punch power, and his ability. So yeah, it'd be a good fight. If and when they get it on, and I think they will get it on because they're both with Sky now, right? So it's not that hard to make. So I think end of the year, maybe after Riakpore has another fight, Lawrence defends his world title. I think next month could be a goal.
And I do think Riakpore is a good fighter, and I think he's like one of the best that's sort of coming up, especially from this country after Lawrence. I think Lawrence is a big threat though, but I would like to see the fight. I think there's a bit of bad blood, North versus South London. Both fighters have spent a long time getting here. It makes sense. Lock it down in the O2 and let's sell it out. You know what I mean? Like, pull it on Sky. It's a big fight night for a world title. I do think, though, Lawrence is ready to have the fight now and wants the fight if it's going to happen as soon as possible. And I do think it's more Riakpore looking to maybe kick it down the line a little bit.
He should. As he should.
No, but really, Lawrence is the world champion. So if someone's challenging him, he wants to fight now. But I think Riakpore probably wants to get like some more leverage in the conversation. I don't think he wants to have 30% or 20% of the purse. I think he wants to come in for 50. So he won't be able to do that as a contender. He has to do it as a champion. So if he's not going to win a world title before he sees Lawrence, then he's going to go in that as the B side, and
what's another route to a world title for Riakpore? Say, if I'm Riakpore,
McCarby, WBC.
Oh, has McCarby still got WBC? Yeah.
And who else? Jay Opeteo from, I want to say New Zealand, but it might be Australia, but it's that neck of the woods. But I don't want to be.
It's obviously big. If it's a world title fight, it's bigger. So Yeah, you can go around, and that fight will be there.
Yeah, but I think they might be harder fights to make. You never know really what's going in with their contracts, their positions. Like he might not fit in
with their plans.
Yeah, so right now you got Jay Opatea, Okolie, Bradis, Dorticos, Makabu, Riakpore's ranked 6th with the ring. So the people above him, especially for the world titles, well, that's Jay Opatea. He's the Ring Magazine, the Ring Cruiserweight champion. What's he got? 2 belts as well. What's this man? Give me advice. He got the IBF in the ring. So yeah, the belts are a bit stagnated at the moment. So there is probably a few options for him out of those fighters, but what would make the most financial sense? Going and maybe not winning against the world champion in foreign lands and maybe having to take a much smaller purse. That's the fight's probably not worth as much. Or, build up the little bit of rivalry that was at a big event, the Creed premiere, a boxing film, a blockbuster boxing film. Against a local rivalry where you probably sell out your local arena, both have massive crowds. If you win, you've sort of taken over what Lawrence has managed to build up. I don't know. He might be smart to think about capitalizing that way, because Okolie is a very hard fight for a world title, but the others aren't slouches, even when you factor in having to fly to maybe Australia or America or wherever the champion might be from. And not be on with the home advantage, because some world champions just won't travel. No matter how much money you're dangling, they just won't put their home advantages for that period of their time. When they've lost the world title, when they're not defending that sort of position and helm in boxing, maybe then they'll start crossing path and taking the away corner fights. But a lot of world champions won't, unless you really make it way over the odds, and then they might be overpaying a very good fighter to come over and end their prospects run. So there's a lot of things to balance, I think.
Yeah. And the game is the game. And sometimes, what do you think about? What do you think about? See, sometimes with these, you might have. Right, you've got Riakpore now, up and coming, or coming up fast, but up and coming at the same time. Obviously, Lawrence is the champion, yeah. So you'd say it's best for them to just fight now? Because sometimes I look at things like, do you think that Dubois should have fought Joyce when he did, and things like that, or do you think you should let them kind of, because they were both with Frank Warren? Do you think you could have let them build, because the damage to Dubois was a little piece of damaging. It was damaging to him, the L that he took there. You see what I mean? Do you think is it better to build? I know people want to see the fights in it, but is it better to build them outside without facing each other for a while? First.
Definitely sometimes, especially for the loser. But at the same time, if you get to a certain level and you're both getting built up, if you are you do come on the bad end of the decision, you are the loser, you usually learn a lot more from that for the longevity of your career. And it depends what you're trying to achieve out of boxing. I think sometimes you might bite off that little bit more than you can chew, but the lessons you learned there, the hunger it gave you, the mistakes you corrected that you might have been making with your complacency of the last 15 fights going well, whatever it may be, them lessons there that you learn on that night might then give you the experience that you need for when you have the bigger fight, the harder fight for the bigger title down the line, because you still managed to bring it back and stay positive and optimistic. And then the lessons that you learned there in that loss were essential for winning that fight. And I've seen it before, and I've seen it happen, and we'll see it time and time again. You can see growth from fighters, you can see him react differently. And even in that fight, Daniel Dubois against Lorena, so you put it the perfect example. Daniel Dubois against Joe Joyce, he got to a point where the pressure got too much, and to some people's eyes, he quit. Okay, yes, his eye did go, but we have seen, I'm not saying he was wrong, but we have seen examples of people going through extreme lengths to not get stopped. We see someone drop to the eye and panic and worry and show a bit of, vulnerability in the boxing ring, and the fight was stopped. Against Lorena, he got put down, he got hurt, and it looked like his leg had went. It looked like something was going on. He got put down 3 times, I think, in the first round. And then, to be fair to Shane McGuigan, he did a good job in the corner of calming him down and basically not really giving him no option, because I don't think you give a fighter like Daniel Dubois with probably maybe the mentality he has the option to get out. He might take it like he maybe did against Joyce. So he kind of just calmed him down and said, you're going to have to grow into this fight. And And then he got the confidence, and by the third round, he won by knockout. Well, if he had that same mentality and didn't learn from the position of that way he'd been in before and what the thought process is after and the change of career and whatever that happened after that loss and mindset, he maybe not have stood up in the next round and started coming back into it, because it looked like he was throwing a shot and looking to jump on the floor because his leg was hurting, or he was hurt, or I don't fully know. But he learnt from that, and then he overcome being a relatively good fighter in a moment of bother as well. So sometimes you do need this in a career to become the fighter. Very few fighters can do it perfectly every time and have an approach every fight with the right
adversity builds character, like we say. Adversity builds character, bro. And sometimes you got to go to the trenches. You got to feel that. You got to experience certain things. I get that. I just wondered that from your perspective as a active champion. You get me?
Sometimes you have to take the scenic route, pals. Sometimes that gamble on yourself that doesn't pay off makes you take the scenic route. But in boxing, like Rocky said, that you're only ever like 1-2 fights away from a world title, and it's true. You literally, if you get the right moment at the right time and you capitalize, and all of a sudden, hold on, you just beat him. We want to see him fight him. That's boxing. That is the human nature aspect of boxing. If people see someone can fight or win a fight against someone that they thought was something, then we can go from there. So that's all boxing is. So yeah, if I was people, I would bet on yourself, man. Like, be very honest with yourself, but bet on yourself. And if your level of realism is anywhere near your level of confidence, then you might get through somewhere that even you really deep down thought, wow, this is a hard ask. It's all right to challenge yourself.
Yeah. Word. You heard that straight from the champ. Now, before we get to Saturday, one last thing, champ. Friday, David Adeleye, the heavyweight.
I thought it was David Adeleye. Maybe
you
pronounced
David
it
Adeleye. No, let me not butcher his name. You're saying Adeleye.
We don't like doing the butchering over here.
That sounds right. Shout out David Adeleye. If I got your name wrong, don't watch that. And I just wanted to make sure you got the honourable mention card. My man looks like kind of a beast still. You put away that he won the European title, which is no joke thing. And he put the guy away in a vicious fashion still.
Yeah,
champ.
Yeah, that was my first title as well, WBO European. It gets you a top 15 rank with the WBO rating. So
that's educating people. We wouldn't know that otherwise. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's what you get here. Education, that history lesson
from the champ. The champ. I mean, okay, yeah, David Adeleye.
So he fought. I've got it up here. He fought Dimitri Bezos. I think he was Hungarian or Bulgarian.
I watched it still.
Yeah, and you see that fight there. I like David Adeleye. He's in Undisputed as well, so shout out Undisputed Boxing.
Shout out Undisputed Boxing.
I mean? Nice to see that it blend in with current event.
Naturally. Make sure you take a moment, like, subscribe. Let me say that again. Carry on, champ.
But I'll be perfectly real. I was very impressed with David Adeleye. I think there's been times he's looked dangerous, but then there was times he looked a bit, I don't want to, be offensive, but a bit in above his head, when he had a bit more of experience in front of him. But he got through that. I was impressed. He had a slightly better opponent, 10-0, come with some ambition, going for a title, trying to get a world ranking. And I think he didn't put much foot wrong. And then when he started landing big, he landed, for me, one of the knockouts of I know he's going early in, but knockouts so far this year, like he really caught him in the
Yeah, he fucked his shit up. He fucked him up.
He did, and it was good to see. It was good to see.
I'm not laughing at the dude that got knocked out, because I respect it. He stepped in, but I'm laughing at just the brutality of it, bro. The brutality.
It was a good knockout from David Adeleye. Like, genuinely, it was a good knockout, and it's good to see him get like a bit of a bit more support after that, because I know when you have a performance that you're probably not that happy of. What makes it a lot worse is then there's a lot of negative opinion, especially when you're in the spotlight. And David Adeley's got a bit of backing from BT and Frank Warren. So yeah, it was good to see it paid off for everyone involved. I thought it was a good fight.
How far can he go, champ? How far can he go? Looking at the landscape,
there's a lot. I'll be perfectly realistic.
Yeah, please.
There's probably a lot of answers still to go. I think one thing's for sure. He's physically strong, and he seems to have a good enough grasp of where to put himself when he's thinking about it. Like when he's not just sort of going in trying to wrecking ball, he does seem to have some idea of where to be putting his feet and then when to be letting his shots go. Because he's landing crisp shots early on. He's not having to just sort of throw lows until one lands. He was picking his shots quite nicely against, okay, maybe albeit not the most elite level of fighter, but you could see he could move in his own right and let shots go in his own right. But once Adeleye really landed, it was issues for him. So, I mean, it's hard. Heavyweight is a hard division, you know. So it's hard to crack into. Not only do you have to keep proving yourself and build up a name and reputation to even be considered to have a chance to fight a lot of these top names for the biggest trophies, but there's also a lot of problems in all different shapes and sizes on the way up. There's the really, really heavy fighters. There's the smaller, sharper, faster, better boxer one, maybe coming from cruiserweight. Like the heavyweight is quite a hard division to navigate, albeit it can be sensibly navigated at the same time, but that never really puts fighters in a position to challenge for the highest. You need to do something to even be considered because they're all wanting ridiculous money up there. So it's as and when they choose. So
well, let's give credit to, because a lot of times European titles, British titles, English titles get overlooked, but these are accomplishments within itself, you know. So like last week we gave you up to Tyler Denny. This week we've got to give you up to David Adeleye.
There was a few more though on that card, I'll be real. Like, there was a few more fights.
We're gonna move on, but give it up to David Adeleye first. Go on, tell me about the rest of the card, champ, because I'll be honest, I only watched the David Adeleye fight still.
Yeah, I hear that. Mark Chamberlain, I think, was the chief support, the fight before, and that was a good knockout, Pounds. I might send you that one off.
Send me that one over. I'll watch it. Shout out Mark Chamberlain.
What I liked about it is, when a fight is just in flow and the knockout comes, like when they threw the punch, they probably expected them to still be there, because it was just like they didn't throw it with no urgency. They weren't have that, you dickhead. You know what I mean? It was like it was just flowing, and he let a swift right hand go, landed on the chin, and that's pretty much all she wrote.
What weight class that?
I think he's lightweight. I don't know.
Okay.
Let me get him up. I think it was a lightweight contest for a title. Mark Chamberlain. Yeah, lightweight. I know I was right. He's from Portsmouth. 12-0, 8 knockouts. He's a good talent. He's one of the good talents, I think.
I'll be looking out for him now. Now that you put me on, I'll be looking out.
It was a good knockout in the 5th round. Also, then on to Henry Turner, who was actually an old sparring partner of mine in the Repton days. We used to. He was a bit younger, maybe quite a similar-ish weight, and then he was quite a bit heavier the last time I sparred him. But a very talented kid, comes from the same school of Repton that I did. Was headed by Bobby Beck, and his son was the head trainer, Robert Beck. Yeah, another fighter on the card from that same sort of schooling was Aidan Mohammed, who also looked good, won a clear points victory. Just another step on it early, and he probably needs to push on a little bit. There's also Carl Fale, ex-GB fighter, 7-0. Looked impressive again. Royston Barney Smith, who I actually seen the next day up in Leeds. He won in the 1st round knockout. He's a very, very good fighter. He's a traveling lad, but he's a traveling lad and a very, very, very good fighter. Got a good team behind him as well in the Ben Davison setup. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to go on to, because I think he was very well decorated as an amateur, like one of those sort of like a Dennis McCann, won everything and then turned pro.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're attracting now, because a lot of amateurs aren't putting trust into the amateur system. Yeah, they're hearing that the Olympics isn't going to be in for boxing over the next however many years. So why start running down that and maybe be disappointed? You've got GB not sending fighters to the world tournaments because the governing bodies have said they're going to let Russia fly their flag. Like, it's all very political, more in amateurs than in professional boxing. So I don't think there's any reason for anyone to be keeping in amateurs right now until they get that sorted anyway. Yeah, I think it was a good little Friday night card. I'm a big fan of Friday night boxing, pounds. I'll be real.
Come on, Serge. That's to plug the charger.
I'm a big fan of Friday night boxing. I'll be real. I think it doesn't always have to be like the top.
No.
But when you do a Friday night, it's always a good, nothing. You're not doing nothing. Watch the Friday night boxing. There's some prospects there that you might see in the future. And I think I've boxed, headlined, and been involved in quite a few little cards like this on the way up. So I think they're absolutely necessary to get to the position where fighters get into the position where fighters need to see. Like you want to see even. So yeah. So shout out to Frank Warren and BT.
All of the BT Sport and Frank
Warren. Chris Bork as well. Just on finally on that, I just seen his name there. Chris Bork. He had a torrid maybe to say first round, but then came back really, really strong. Put Martinez down once in round 2, twice in round 3. It was a sickening body shot that really just turned the hour. Really sickening body shot. And Chris Bork, an old sparring partner of mine, hotel roommate in international tournament. So yeah, a nice another step towards him after bouncing back from, was it Liam Davies? No, Mark Leach. Sorry, Mark Leach, who he boxed and lost to for the British title. So hopefully he pushes on now and he gets a bit of exposure. He's quite an exciting fighter. Maybe not the most explosive personality when it comes to trying to sell and promote fights, but a good fighter nonetheless.
All right. Saturday now, champ. You was in the building. Wood versus Lara card. You made the call. You're 3 for 3 right now in the predictions thing still. You didn't actually make a prediction on the Fury one still, so we can't really go 4 for 3 kind of.
Now, because you know what it is with me, pounds.
You did the fence thing.
If I can't sit here and argue some
make an educated point,
I'm just gonna sit as a fan. I'll be real. I'm gonna sit as a fan.
All right.
So
I went out on a limb for the man this week, but all right.
Yeah.
With this Wood versus Lara.
It's not like you haven't made a couple predictions too, but you're not always jumping straight on the.
No, I like to make educated predictions. I don't think I've got none wrong yet either, to be honest. I only did 2, but flipping. Yeah, talk to me about this card now, champ. What we can go. Let's start from the main event. It was a heavy. He went down heavy. I know he wasn't happy with the way the towel came in, etc. But what's your stoppage first? I know a lot
of people weren't happy with how the towel come in, but I don't think Lee Wood had much issue with it, to be honest. I think I've seen some posts and some, mentions that he said that he believed he was, saved by his coach there. He was out on his feet and maybe stop the inevitable. So that was what I completely said. I said on the night that I don't think that Ben Davison had a choice. That was the only thing. His fighter at the end of the count was not ready to defend himself. You throw the towel.
I can hear you. Keep going. I'm looking for the charger. Go on.
As a trainer, you do not give your fighter their opponent to look at a complete free shot. You don't do it. It's not right. When your fight is out, it doesn't matter if there's 10 seconds, 1 second, 5 seconds, 0 seconds. Like if there's a chance they can throw that full clean shot and someone is out on their feet, you are doing your fighter a misservice, an injustice by not throwing in the towel. So I think it was definitely the right decision. He had a full 10 seconds, was on the other side trying to get round. Trying to get round the referee, and the referee looked like he was going to let him. Wood's feet was going left and right, coming together, and you could see the square on. And yeah, perfect decision. It was a good performance up to the point of the stoppage, though. I think Lee was fighting well. I think he was having success. I think he was winning on the cards, probably 4 rounds to 2. Maybe could have it 5 rounds to 1. Some people really liking Lara's work. Probably could have been okay for 3 rounds to 3. I think it was that sort of fight.
Yeah.
Big shots landed both ways, clean shots. But what I really liked about Lara's work, you could see it straight away. He was using his weight on his front foot to have a little pause and give Lee Wood the thought of throwing. What gave Lee a lot of success is he has that Ingle rhythm. You get to range, boom, boom, you throw. Get to range, throw. Like, you're kind of like suppressing their fire with nice clean shots in a rhythm that a lot of other gyms don't really look at. They get there, have a look, is there something? Then like where Ingles, they get there and they throw levers pretty quick for one. Being a Sheffield fighter now, I've come to experience.
You've got understanding of it. Yeah.
So what that does though is use a lot of energy, especially when, for me, the way I put the fight on the night, Lee was driving a Formula One car at the edge of coercion. He was hitting every corner as fast as he could, and that's what he needed to do to stay just in front of this fighter that was in front of him. Like, so the other car, he was just there, hit an oil spill, didn't work out his way, and he ended up off the grid, didn't make it to the final checkered flag. And he was winning, and I do think he was ahead, but Lara was very good at making him have to work extremely hard and also make quite a lot of mistakes that he didn't initially punish. I think when Lara knew he couldn't really get to him, rounds 4, rounds 5, round 6, he was happy to just keep the pressure and keep him working, making Wood throw at target, land sometimes, miss sometimes, get caught up, wrapping up messy, then a few shots would land, burning a lot of energy, but also, and most importantly for Lara, he was setting traps. You could see him setting the traps. Every time he was going into that certain position, he was reading what Lee was doing. And as he was getting more tired and then trying to land his own clean shots to keep competitive and winning the rounds, Lee, in the time he got knocked out, he leaned in and half copied what Lee would, what his opponent Lara, was doing. He put his weight on his front foot, had that split-second pause of a look, and snatched at a left hook. And when he snatched at the left hook, he threw a nice left hook. But what he did is his hand started on his chin, tucking it away, defending himself. And by the time he torqued his body and tried to put every little bit of power into that little window of opportunity, the trap that Lara had kept setting, there was a slight gap in where his hand came, and there was a window of opportunity. The punch landed that Lara knew was going to be there because he'd set the trap and he'd seen it. He'd stayed calm. He hadn't panicked when he probably knew he was down on scorecards in someone else's back garden. He didn't care about all of that. For me, it was a very menacing performance from Lara. Leanwood did have a good performance, but probably done everything right that he capably can. Like, I don't think he can do massive amounts more than that.
Champ, you remember last week you said I said to you, Champ, what, for him to win he has to be perfect the whole time? You said, yeah, he's gonna have to be perfect, no mistake. You're right. So you saying that kind of ties in.
And unfortunately, when you're versing, usually this is typically when you're taking a British fighter that has had, nursery from whatever age, they're going to school. If you're not getting fed at home, you've got school meals and you've got help, and you've got you're making sure that you're at school and you get that parents' evenings. So that whole bracket of life that we get as being from this side of the world compared to what a Maurizio Lara would have had to experience.
Yeah.
Like, and I've heard some bits of his background that I'm not even gonna divulge into, but some real crazy stuff allegedly. And Maurizio Lara has therefore been formed by a lot tougher and horror stuff. So typically a British fighter versus a Mexican, if at any time in the plan it's let's see if we can bust him up, you've got to be an elite level puncher as probably well as an elite level boxer to really have to really make up the gaps in the toughness that they're going to have experienced most likely in their life, because we probably play life on the easy mode compared to a lot of other countries, and what their reality is really like. From my travels around the world and meeting people, I would strongly say that. So because of that, we usually have more time to develop our brain in certain ways, more time and more resources to do certain things or to approach a fight a certain way. So me, I try and make it less physical and less about who can hit harder and take the most amount of damage to win the fight, because Lee Wood kind of got caught up into the I'm trading big shots with you, I'm trying to hurt you and earn your respect, when really he showed that at range he could have probably outboxed Lara all night, because there was them periods of time if he kept it on it and more disciplined, and really he got knocked out by himself around one shot. He was managing to ride everything else, get caught with a couple, stable the ship and get back to it. But because he really made a mistake on opening up his chin in range, throwing a hook with a hooker, a smaller, more powerful, more explosive, maybe more tough one, that when you're both landing your best punch at the same time, I probably bank Lara being on his feet and you being on the floor.
And that's how it went.
And that's how it went. And that was my prediction. And like, I know Lee Wood to be a very good fighter. He's got a lot of heart. He's got a lot of desire, determination. I know that he probably wants a rematch. Me personally, I would like to see him take the bit of a scenic route, spend the next 2 years, 18 months, build up fight, build up profile, build up momentum. So you get that belief again, have a hard fight in its own right, because you are a good fighter and you'll be able to win one of those because you are a very good, talented fighter. And spend that whole time preparing and training and working towards fighting Lara again. Then get him when you've given a Mexican fighter the last 2 years maybe of being a millionaire or being a lot more comfy when he has been before. Maybe might take his eye off the tiger, because that again is a typical story when you're dealing with Mexican fighters. Not always, definitely, but because there's exceptions to the rule doesn't mean that the patterns don't exist. So if I was Lee Wood, maybe forget about him for just now. I think if he calls out Lara again, he'll be able to get the fight. He brought a big crowd. If he builds up and keeps going the way he's doing, he's age 34 now. Another loss against Lara in this time could be pretty much curtains.
Yeah. Go off, make some money, have some fights, build up your confidence, and then come
and
again.
I know you want to fight him again. I know you think you can beat him, but aim towards him and also give Lara the chance to be a rich Mexican for a few years. I think you might see that. You know what I mean? He might not even be at the same weight no more.
Yeah. Word. All right. Talk about some of the other fights on the card. I see you got the Dalton Smith hoodie on.
Dalton Smith, British title defense. He's 1 fight away now for winning that belt outright.
Yeah.
Big achievement. At such a young part of his career. Absolute shout out for me. I know I was working his corner. Billy Ayleton, I want to give credit where it's due. Was very tough. Survived some bad moments in the fight for him. Took some heavy shots as well, and didn't sort of look to fade out of the fight. I feel like from quite early on, though, his main goal was kind of really seeing out the bell and hoping that the fight just went away, where he had a chance to do something. He was still trying, but I think he realized he was outgunned, probably outsmarted in a lot of ways, where he was kind of backed into a corner where he had to fight very defensively, very safe, and very, sometimes he was just smothering him and looking to tying him up. I think Dalton learned through the fight and grew into the fight. I think a lot of people sort of look at Dalton's patience when approaching the fight and see it as, like a negative thing, or it's boring, or there's not much going on. But for me, he's stalking down his prey. Like, he's landing the bigger shots, winning pretty much every single round clearly. Like, he's just not giving them very much opportunity to land. I think when Dalton just goes and goes and goes and goes again, like he used to and has done before and likes to, even to a certain degree, I think he realizes he puts himself in a lot of positions where whether he lands or maybe just misses, then they can land clean on him. And the way his body moves and how much he puts on emphasis on actually landing the punch, he doesn't really take as much regard for his defense on. Because of that, he now puts his opponents into bad positions and then capitalizes and wins the fight in between. For me, that's what I want to be seeing a prospect doing. That's how I want to see a prospect firing. Okay, sorry for the fans, I might have to see, oh, well, he didn't knock him out again. Oh, well, he didn't do this. Oh, well, them rounds are quite boring. Okay, did he win it? Did he look like any time he was going to lose the fight? No, and that's what matters. When he gets into a fight where it's someone like, oh, Dalton could lose this, or Dalton should lose this, and then does the same thing, stalks him, gets him, or it doesn't really give him any looks, then all of a sudden it's a masterclass pound. And that's what you're playing with. Like, you can do the same thing at different levels, but sometimes you've got to not buy into I need to be more exciting, or I need to listen to the crowd or pander to my promoter telling me, go and knock him out now in the 4th round. Like, sometimes you just have to be a boxer, express yourself to your best of abilities, but don't give the advantages.
That's what it is as well. I think people need to understand as well, yeah, their careers are on the line. Like, if a fighter chooses to, rather than listen to his corner and the game plan, to listen to the crowd and make changes, gets knocked out, it can change the trajectory of his whole career. His earnings.
Then all of a sudden, like, what people don't understand is, at very best, on this is just like base level contracts. At very best, you usually have like a safety net, or if you lose, you'll get a rematch and it'll be the same amount of money. But like if you're winning, it's going up. If this is getting promised or whatever. So you just taking your eye off the ball and ended up getting knocked out Okay, yeah, it's not just a one on your record that's going to last the rest of your life and whatever your boxing record, and everyone's going to remember that moment about you. But it also changes the dynamic of your life, perhaps, and the angle of where you're going and the momentum you're going there and what plans you had. And like, so when you get in there, you're not only trying to express yourself for the good fighters, the best fighters, the competent fighters that really want to give themselves, their team, their family the best of every chance to really take their story to the furthest. They fight smart first, and then they let everything else come. And if you're looking at a fight that may be boring, ask, are they boring or are they smart? Devin Haney, boring, or very, very smart?
I don't even think he's boring, but I understand that people do.
A lot of people do say
I know, I understand that people do, but that's me. I love boxing. I always have. So I understand.
You can appreciate the expert level of mastery that Devin Haney puts in display. When you can get in a ring, which is only about 20 foot, yeah, which is, you know, a quite rich person's living room, yeah, size. If you get into that with one other person and are allowed to just fight each other, having the ability to maintain distance, range, control of the ring, not being backed up or, you know, falling over your feet and getting backed up in a corner when someone's trying to punch you in the face and body and whatever they can do. And they've spent however many years dedicating the exact same amount of time that you've been doing to the same cause, like same sacrifices they've made. Like when you're doing it at that level, but someone can get in consistently and have about 7 seconds in a 36-minute fight where the fighter even seems remotely close enough to land a punch. You're just coming in, jab, hitting and moving back, boom, boom, in and out, like moving around the side, they come, you block, right there. Like, and people not to appreciate it is mind blowing for me. Like every time you hear them sort of negative sides on like a style like a Mayweather or a Devin Haney or an Andre Ward at times, like anytime that defensive being sound, you know, controlling your faculties and your assets and making sure that you don't give up easy looks, so it's not an easy fight or you don't get dragged into a wall when you don't need to, and you can make sure that you give yourself the best possible percentage of winning from moment one to the moment the belt and the fight ends. I don't know how people can't appreciate that level of discipline to get caught with a shot and then not just think, forget all of this and let's have a war. Because don't you think us as fighters or them as fighters like to have a fight? Do you think they don't get in sparring to sit there and just chop it up and sit there and go forward and push people back? Because that's what they're doing in sparring, to hone all the other side of their skills. They know they can get in the ring and box for 12 rounds, and when they're world champions, they think there's no one in here that's going to come into sparring around my weight that's going to make me spar like that. You know what I mean? Spar like I want to win. I want to spar like it doesn't even look like I'm trying, but I'm still doing the business. And I know other fighters are the same.
That's right. And that's coming from the IBF flyweight champion of the world. A cool man.
And let's imagine in the parallel universe where Lee Wood took his 4 rounds or 5 rounds up to against Lara, and in 7th round, instead of trading big left hooks with him, put him in a boxing class.
Yeah.
Around the ring, jab, might have lost a few rounds.
Could be a totally different outcome. Could be a totally different outcome.
Did nothing for 3 rounds. Let Lara win 3 rounds, use all his energy, and then come out for 3 rounds, like the last, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, and just give it everything and come out of hands and make sure he just won by work rate. Like there's so many different ways he could have approached it.
Word. You're right. Anyone else on that card to talk about, chap, before we move on?
Boston, as I aforementioned, obviously another fight. I was in his corner. He went 5 for 5, which is 5 fights, 5 wins, and 5 knockouts.
Yeah. I get it.
He's on his own little path to success. Gary Cully again. I sat down to watch it for the first round. It was the first fight before I was working Dalton's corner. After the first round, I got up. I went to everyone. Yeah, this fight will be out by the 3rd round. I went back to the change room. Before I got all the way back to the change room, the fight was done in the 2nd round. Fantastic fighter, Gary Cully. Very, very surgical. And if you haven't seen Gary Cully, which I'd forgive you for, he's a very tall, lightweight that can hit really hard. I mean, he's got 16 wins now, 10 knockouts. And the knockouts seem to be coming more now than they was earlier. I think the more rounds he's got with people, he just starts breaking them down. He's got some good wins, and Wilfredo Flores might not have been the the most challenging fight he's had so far when he's beaten likes of Miguel Vasquez's, former world champions, etc. But yeah, another great talent Eddie Hearn's got in his hands. Gary Cully from Ireland. Called him the Diva. Bright pink tassels everywhere. He had sheep fur as well on his that fur. I can only imagine for the pater.
So making sure people remember him. He's doing what he needs to do. Good.
Gamal Yafai come up on the wrong side.
How did he get on? Smack over a guy.
He come up on the wrong side of a points decision where he was actually down. He was actually down 3 times, I believe. Gamal Yafai against Diego Alberto Ruiz, who's actually managed by a friend of mine. So shout out on the away win for Lee and the team. Diego Alberto Ruiz, he's a problem, bro. He's 23, well, he's 24 now, 6-1. You know, Gamal has had a bit of a stop and start career. Sometimes he lost to Gavin McDonald, lost to Jason Cunningham, and now he's lost to Diego Alberto Ruiz.
Well, when I hear your fight, I always think of was it Cal?
There's Cal. There's Cal. Then he's the eldest. Then there's Gamal, and then the youngest is Galal, who's obviously probably going to be a future competitor of mine. Very good family of brothers. I think maybe for Gamal and Cal now, the career is getting to the stage where they had a long amateur career. They traveled the world, had a lot of success, a lot of medals, but a lot of hard fights. A lot of mileage on the clock comes from that GB team. And it is going to alter you as a fighter. And maybe I think some instances it might take away years of someone's peak. Maybe even some inactivity won't help. And it was a few months before Gamal. Been a few months since Gamal had fought. I was a bit surprised that he didn't beat Diego Alberto Ruiz, but at the same time, the Argentinian, he got a draw against Lee McGregor. I watched that, thought Lee should have won, but a close fight nonetheless. He gave Jack Bateson some times at the end of his fight with him. So he is, he gave Mike Conlan 9 rounds before Mike Conlan stopped him. So he is a good fighter. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh. Maybe it's not the end. Maybe there's some behind the scenes. Because Gamal Yafai is a good fighter. There's no denying. Maybe he isn't as high of a level as Cal was managed to reach. And maybe Galal has the potential to reach. But in his own right, I think he's always been a very tough competitor. I just think for some reason on Saturday night, his resistance weren't really there. Shots that I'd seen him sort of take much better before, he weren't really taking as well, and then it was putting him on the back foot, and he was having to recover. But credit to him, he stuck it out in a hard time. He won a few rounds.
Tough set of brothers.
Yeah, for real. And obviously, there's been the story of like Cal Yafai and my brother. I think that's a fight I'd still like to see. I feel like a lot of people would. Maybe when me and Galal get it on down the line, if they're still both about, we could get it on. They could get it on our undercard. You know what I mean? So who knows? That'd be a big night.
Why not?
Respect to them though, because I do like them. Like,
no, I rate them. I follow Cal.
What happens is though, unfortunately, in this game, you have like long storylines with people that are good. And around the same weight and same time as you. Like, so we have long relationships with the Yafais, and they're good guys in there. They're a good family and they're good fighters. But obviously, when business is involved and pride's on the line, you want to be the number one. You want to be first. So, hopefully we do end up getting some of these fights and seeing some of these fights. Or if Cal and Charlie never get it on, I think they've done a great job at further building up mine and Galal's eventual fight, which, world champion, Olympic gold medalist. I beat him in the amateurs, then he got sent to the Olympics instead of me. All of that. There's all the big backstory. My brother and his brother nearly didn't fight. So yeah, it might.
You beat him in amateurs, and you're the world title now as well. So kind of, I see what's going on.
There's like a story, but I like him. Like,
there's a storyline behind it. There's a storyline behind it there.
When he first,
I rate them, man. There, I rate them.
Yeah, you know what I rate though? Yeah, when I first turned pro, when he first turned pro, he I think the first person he sparred, and he came and sparred me like 2 or 3 times a week for about 3-4 weeks, and he did that a couple of times for a couple of fights. Now I think he's getting up the levels of rankings a bit more, keep the distance a bit, and then sort of aim towards the fight at some point. But we really get on. It's great. It's a great spar. It will be a great fight. Just one we're probably both quite confident. I know I am. And since then, he said that he's not like deluded. You know, he sparred me. He knows what the world level is for over like 12 rounds, and he didn't think he was there yet. I don't think he's miles off. I think he just needs to do the gut checks, because for 12 rounds it's different to 3-round fighting, 5-round fighting even. It's a whole different ball game because you can be doing everything, but if you've only got that for half an hour, that 1 minute that you haven't got it for no more is a knockout in most cases. You know what I mean? So for Galao, I'd like to see him get given, at least 18 months, 2 years, the right fights, busy activity, and then start looking really for any of the killers. And I would, even though I'm a killer in a different way, I'm a killer of dreams. And I think if you put someone
dreams done, just not gonna feel the same about no more. Dreams just suddenly just ending dreams.
Nah, because what it is like if you look at those people that fight me up, a lot of the times I pretty much end their career. There's a couple of occasions where people have come back and then sort of like peaked after me, but and learned from it. But I feel like a lot of people when they have their own like personal beliefs of how boxing looks and should go and how good they are in their position in it. When you come in against someone, it depends how much they rate me at the start. And obviously, it was easy not to rate me earlier on. No knockouts, really, not much promotion, not much hype to a certain degree. So it was easy to like overlook me and then be really disappointed when I beat you as bad as I did. Because there were some people I made really, really look silly.
I've seen some of them. I've seen some.
Yeah, when I really want to make someone look silly, I can do it, and it's soul destroying. When I'm just trying to win a fight, I'm not necessarily trying to make no one look silly, so it's not a part of the routine. You know what I mean? So, but when I do that, I feel like it makes you question everything. If someone that you don't really rate that much, he doesn't really hit that hard, and maybe for whatever reason you don't think what I do is that good, or it looks a bit of a certain way, or looks easy to, especially if you've got those thought process, and then I get in the ring with you and make you look silly. Like, it's enough to make someone your like career prospects have stopped. Like, you thought, I might win a world title. Okay, now I'm not. That's what it is now. And then like the purses go down, and then you got to rebuild. There's a lot.
There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. They got
a lot. So people would rather not fight me and be looked silly. They'd rather fight someone that could knock them out, because at least they know how it's going to look at the end. But there's a million and one ways I can make a fight.
I've had that debate with people before. Would you rather get punched up and boxed up and made to look away for 12 rounds or knocked out? A lot of people say knocked out. They'd rather get knocked
out. Apologies, that water went down the wrong way. But yeah, I hear what you're saying about, like, don't get me wrong, there's probably certain things that make the knockout worse in certain ways, but the actual reality of being conscious through 36 minutes of frustration, not success, the actual like reality of that period of time when you're not just getting knocked out in the third round and fight done, like, if I didn't get caught by that shot and make that one mistake, I would have went all the way through and beat him. That whole side of things. But yeah, I don't know.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's two sides of the same coin. All I know is I want to win every time, pounds. That's what I know.
Well, that's all you do, though. That's all you do.
Argue about how I'd rather lose, isn't it?
Yeah. Forget all of that because you're just winning. But finally, we're wrapping up now. We've been there for a minute. We're gonna wrap it up. This weekend, exhibition thing. You're down there. Mayweather versus Aaron Chalmers. Floyd Mayweather. Probably the greatest boxer of our generation. No, definitely the greatest boxer of our generation, I'd have to say. That's one of my favorite boxers there still. But he's having an exhibition against Aaron Chalmers. Easy work, in my opinion. He slaps him up, thumps him over, and collects his bag and goes home. You're going to be there. You're commentating, right?
Yeah, so, I had a bit of, chatting with the team over there, and by the looks of it right now, I'm obviously, all things are scheduled to change in this world, so I don't usually tell anything until it's happened. You know what I mean? You know how it is, pounds, isn't it?
Did I let the cat out the bag?
No, but in the sense of, imagine I say it, and now tomorrow I get a WhatsApp, like, you know what I mean? Like, so
makes no difference. You're still the champion of the world.
Of course. So for right now, I'm looking as part of the commentary team, which I'm proud and buzzing to be. I think they've seen my last work I did the other week on the Izzy GBM show. Shout out to that. We didn't even give it a mention at the time, so shout out to that. I did the Box King media stream with Spencer Oliver. I think the main event was Reese Mold versus Hamid Gars. That was a good fight, actually. But yeah, I did my thing. I was commentating for about 4 or 5 hours. So the next week I've been asked to do to do the Mayweather card in London. So I think I'm not passing up an opportunity to have on my CV that I commentated the best ever. You know, Money Mayweather on his only return. I mean, his only fight ever in the UK.
London.
You know what I mean? He's never fought
Yeah,
here. And you know what? Circle, because I had my first big fight. I had my first ever like big card fight. It wasn't a big fight, but it was a big card that I was involved in, and it was a Mayweather co-promotion with Frank Warren when Gervonta Davies.
I remember that. I remember. Yeah. When
Gervonta Davies came down to London and shut it down. Well, if you stayed after Gervonta Davies, there was a fight, Sam McNess fought, and if you stayed after that fight, your boy Sonny Showtime come out. You know what I mean? And got a little third round knockout with a body shot. Couldn't believe it myself. They was threatening to close the lights off, and it was a 6 rounder, so I had to get him out of there, pal. Okay, mission accepted, and just
had to get him out of there. All right.
So yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to that opportunity, that event. I think it's going to be a good night. I think. Okay, obviously, it's not the best ever in his prime, and when he was beating up the likes of the best fighters in the world. No, okay, no, it's not. But it's an exhibition and an event where, you know, the UK fight fans get to experience a little bit of what the atmosphere would have been like, or you know, I mean, he's still doing his part and making sure he's ever relevant in it. Mayweather, he's very good at that. He's
very arguably
the best at that. So sometimes you just gotta, you know, pay homage to the greatness in it, and just
that's what it is. Pay homage to the great. Pay homage to the greatest. All right. Well, yeah, man. I think we can wrap it up. I want to hear about that. Phone's popping off. I want to hear about that next week, champ. We'll talk more on it.
Of course.
Powers and Punches episode 4. We'll talk more on that and all the other events of the weekend. We didn't do no MMA this week. It's a quiet one. I do think a guy called Ryan Span's fighting this week. I think he's light heavyweight. That's in UFC.
Well, you're not really rating his thing. You know what you're saying?
No, Ryan Span's proper. That's why I mentioned his name. He's a knockout artist.
Okay.
Ryan Span. I can't remember the guy he's fighting. That's why I didn't want to say it.
But, you didn't really want to chop it up much. It's just like you're expecting the dub, yeah? Expecting the win.
I don't know enough about the opponent to say that for sure.
And in UFC, it's like that, isn't it?
You put the best against the best, so you can't say that. But
in UFC, just fight like the next one near ranking and that. So I wish boxing was more like that, but
yeah, it's competitive. So we'll see. But yeah, man, it's the hustler and the champ. We're gone. It's been another one, champ. Catch up, easy.